So, did you get any numbers yet? I
No.
didn't get any numbers from Mary Ann yet either. So this may be something we talk about at the next meeting, but, there was some hearings that, PRD hearings that had to be canceled due to a mistake of the township, and the cost of those have already been applied to their escrows, but, we don't have a cost factor on that yet, so.
What was wrong with them?
The mailings did not go out in time and the hearings had to be canceled, so we can't charge them for the mailing twice.
I agree.
So, but we don't have a cost factor, but it's already, that mailing already has been applied to their escrows. And then there's advertising and such. Okay, Township Engineers MS4 program update.
Sure, so I'll be brief since we're
Going long.
going long, but every summer we give a couple periodic updates to the board and the community about what's going on with the MS4 permit. So I prepared one for tonight's meeting. I handed it out before the meeting. In the last month, we've been doing our annual inspection of the outfalls and of the BMP facilities. We've done those for the 3 years that I've been coming down here as township engineer. We've updated your target audience list, and we're working on finalizing those couple revisions that we had to the stormwater ordinance that we had worked on earlier this year. So every year we're required to keep track of questions from the public, comments from the public. If there's any non-stormwater discharges to the storm sewer system that are observed by the public and reported to the community, we have to keep track of those. So I'll make another progress report at our June meeting. There's a number of tasks that we still have to complete. We'll get those done by the June 30th deadline. But like I ask every year around this time, if there are any questions from the public about our stormwater program here in Union Township, or if you see anything that looks like it's not stormwater being discharged to the storm sewers, please bring that up. Please, make those comments known. We're required to track those and include those in an annual report. We've had some, the conversation today, Holman Drive, that we'll document that as part of stormwater concerns. We had some conversations earlier this year about Cardox Road and what we were doing over there. So all that stuff will get tracked. It's all public participation. It's all part of our MS4 program. So that's where we stand. If there's any questions about it, please let me know. We'll take care of these handful of items that still need to be done before end of June. But that's where we're at with the MS4 program. Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you. Mango Presbyterian Church crosswalk signs. So this kind of involves you again, TJ. If you all remember quite a few months back, the church had requested that TJ fills out a PennDOT form. I mean, this was back probably in November of last year, maybe. A PennDOT form for placing crosswalk signs on Mingo Church Road because it was coming off a state road. And TJ went over there and did that measurements and so forth. So now we're down to signs. And what is the request exactly?
So PennDOT has given the church permission to install 2 pedestrian crossing signs. They're the ones you typically see, the stick figure humans getting ready to walk across the road. They're on the yellow safety background. So they have approval to install 2 signs. They've asked for 2 additional signs, which I suspect PennDOT will approve that. We're talking about a total of 4 signs. PennDOT is strict about who can install signs in the state road right away. Basically, it's only PennDOT or the municipality. So the question is, in terms of buying the signs and installing them, is that something that Union Township's going to do? Are we going to do that and then invoice the church for that? That's what the conversation is now that we have approval for these signs. We need to talk about the mechanics of actually installing.
So we're supposed to buy them and install them?
So
I don't know, I'm asking.
yeah, I think the only people who could put the signs in, Larry, are PennDOT or us.
Right.
So
It's us.
PennDOT's not going to do it. So it's going to be us. We'll probably buy the signs and install them, I would think. the road crew would do that. And then the question becomes, do we invoice the church
How
for
much
that?
do
Is
we
there a
talk
cost share?
about money-wise?
Ken, did you?
Some
get
of
any-
those 30 by 30 signs, they're considered, customized signs, and they're pricey.
So maybe we can come up with, so we've
How
already,
about some numbers, some cost
$500 a piece.
each?
What type of, I'm sorry, what type of sign?
so the Presbyterian Church coming towards Mr. Shepherd's place, we come up with
Right.
back in November or September, somewhere in there, we voted to have TJ do the measurement, they want a crosswalk there, because people come off 88. Now we're into installation of signs and the crosswalk
Sign saying
stuff,
what?
saying it's a crosswalk.
30 by 30?
They're pedestrian
That's what they want.
crossing
You need them on
signs.
88 saying you're gonna turn, you need them on both sides of the crosswalk, and you need the labeling on them. So, now the question is, who's paying?
How far back from the intersection are they?
They're right at the crossing location, so right by the front door of the church.
They put the
Who's
crosswalk
gonna
in.
install it? Who's paying?
So what are we doing?
Us
You
too?
don't, I don't know that this has ever happened before.
Well, why don't we get a number that says it's gonna cost us, and we decide what we wanna do? We pick it up and whatever.
Well,
I
the
meant to
fact
call,
is if we're not willing to pay for anything, then why get a cost factor? That's where this starts.
I'm gonna
Like,
call-
Are we
What it is,
considering
you
paying
know?
for signs?
I always start at cost, then you make a
Well,
decision based on
if nobody
fact.
wants to spend a nickel, then you'll go further.
I'm
Is
gonna
the
call
board willing
US
to
Municipal
consider
tomorrow.
paying for the signs? I mean, it's not really a board motion, that's why it's a discussion item. Is this something we wanna consider? At this point, do we tell the church that it's their signs? It goes, I mean, I wanna do it for a church. At the same time, when are we doing it for a business? When are we doing it for are we going down a path?
That's the question I have.
So, you know, it's not, are we setting a precedent that every time somebody wants signs going into their business or a crosswalk for their business, is it, I don't know, is that are we setting a precedent?
I think they would be willing to pay for their signs.
And I understand we have to place them because it's our road, I get
Yeah,
that.
that,
State road.
Mingo?
Mingo Church is a state road.
State should have to pay for
Both
it.
of them are state roads.
They're not,
State
State
road.
doesn't-
they're
They
not,
don't pay for
they
it.
said if the
They
church
should have to.
Yeah, they don't care if there's ever a sign there, so it's a matter of the church wants the sign there, so.
Matter of opinion.
So I think the thought process is you want to get some type of cost from somebody about what it costs,
Yeah.
and then say, it will be basically tell the church, it's gonna cost $1,000, and if you want, we'll do it, so forth. Is that what council, is that?
You don't know whether it's $100 or $1,000.
I don't know,
Until
I'm saying
you
we
get
need cost.
the
Those
information,
profits, so.
how do you make a decision?
And I knew we wouldn't have cost tonight, Larry, that's why I wanted it
I
for discussion,
understand.
so.
I'm not saying, I'm not.
I'd say let's get the cost, let's put it on the agenda next month, and then decide how we wanna split up the price.
But I do,
Crosswalk
I
sign.
do think it sets a dangerous precedent.
It does. I mean, at what point does, you know, if I open up my property across the street from my business and I make it a parking lot, and I come to the township and I want a crosswalk sign and some things, are you guys gonna do that for me?
Well, we have a crosswalks in place. Where did they get signs? Out of the churches and buildings.
Did they, no, they didn't, did they?
So,
That's what I'm saying, we're setting up, we have a lot of, we have Stone Church, you know, he wanted a crosswalk there, and,
I agree with Dennis, safest thing to do is to have them pay the cost, but that's
Yeah.
your guys' decision to make, so.
yeah.
I would approach them about that, I would at least put them on notice
Tell the
that that
church
might
and
be
see
a
if they
thing.
want it.
But it's not against that particular church, it's just, we have a bunch of situations very similar to this that we could be dealing with soon. Okay.